Want to hear something different from talk radio? Keep your dial on Alternative Talk 1150.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Viva ENT. This is Johnny the Capo. I'm live in the studio here in Seattle. I'm here with my co-host,
Rod Masters here.
my excellent producer.
It's Eric C.C. Reidar.
I have Jerry Osborne on the air with the legendary Mr. Ray Walker from the Jordanaires. Jerry, say hi.
Well, hi, everyone, and you certainly got that right. He is about as legendary as they come, and I think because the Jordanaires always had such a distinctive way of introducing themselves on stage, and because I have been on stage with them many times, and every time they've always done it this way, I thought our good friend Terry Mike Jeffrey would introduce them, and then they will introduce themselves in their own tenor to bass fashion. So, Eric, go ahead and hit that, and then Ray can come in afterwards and be embarrassed and gush.
And now I'd like to introduce to you the very wonderful Jordanaires. All right. Tell them who you are and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, my name is Gordon Stoker, and I sing the top part, and I've been singing with the Jordanaires since 1951.
My name is Neil Matthews, and I sing the part under Gordon.
Right.
And I've been singing with the Jordanaires since '53.
I'm Dwayne West. I started singing as a fill-in fifth member in '67, and then when Hoyt passed away in '82, went full-time.
And I'm Ray Walker, and I've been singing with the Jordanaires since 1958, April 23rd, and I sing the low.
Production, Ray?
Well, I don't quite remember any of them, but we used to do a lot of that stuff.
Well, I'll bet, like most people know their birthday, you know that date in the summer of 1958 when you became a Jordanaire.
Well, I was actually, I think April is when they chose me, but I was a teacher and associate principal at a grammar school here in the county, and I couldn't quit until May 31st, so June 1st was the time I went full-time with them. But in April, they had gotten in touch with me through Lipscomb University. It was Lipscomb College at the time, and wanted to know if I could go to Hollywood the next day after I tried out at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night. So I went to Hollywood with them and did background for Tommy Sands, Rick Nelson, and 4 Jordanaire singles and came home. The next weekend, Gordon called me and said, can you go to the Dick Clark show with us this Friday? I said, no. I've been gone away from my kids now for a week or more, and I've got to get them ready for their SATs and final exams. Gordon said, well, what if I told you if you can't go on this trip, we'll have to take our next choice? I said, well, you just have to take them because I don't break contracts. If I break this to go with you, I'd break yours to do something else. He said, well, when could you come down to the Opry and start observing? I said, when is it? He said, Saturday night. I said, Saturday night.
It almost sounds like the story that I've heard you on Sirius Radio many times when you first met Elvis Presley, and he came up to you and you guys introduced.
That was June 10th.
Right.
Gordon had really wanted us to have a few sessions with. He said, "Oh, I hope we have some sessions before we sing with Elvis." He wanted to break me in. You see, I've been doing 4 parts since I was 9 years old, but my very first session after I came with him was Elvis Presley on June 10th.
Correct.
And
he was on leave from Fort Hood.
Yeah, we were standing in Studio B, and I was kind of turned at a 45-degree angle from the back door, and Elvis came in the load-in door that day instead of through the control room. Gordon says, "Here comes Elvis." And I turned around, and he was right there on me with his hand out. And I shook his hand, and he says, "I'm Elvis Presley." I said, "I know who you are. I'm Ray Walker." And he said, "And I know who you are."
Yeah, that's That's quite a story there, man.
Had you been on records at any time before the Jordanaires?
Not professionally speaking, we'd recorded. I've been recording since my daddy started recording us in group sessions and on radio programs on a wire recorder.
Wow.
When I was like 14 or something. And, but he didn't, I hadn't been on any professional recording, no.
So basically from 1958 right through 1970, you were pretty much on every Elvis record, every Elvis soundtrack, right up until he went into the Vegas years, correct?
Oh, yeah. We were on everything he did about that time.
You know, last week we had Johnny Madera on the show, famous record producer, singer-songwriter. And his it was unique because he said that his favorite album was Rostabout. And I know you were on that album. And,
yeah.
Right. And you know, that album went number one right during the middle of the Beatle invasion. And I was listening to the album just the other day, and man, what a great album that was.
Yeah, well, they were all good. Yeah, they were all good. And you know, Elvis used his own ideas about how to mix the stuff. He didn't like the way they mixed his stuff in New York.
Yeah.
So we just stopped the car and I let my daughter out. Here comes her husband. He doesn't know I'm on an interview.
In listening to all of the alternative takes and studio chatter and so forth that we've had on albums over the last 20 years or so, I get the impression that he really was in charge of his own recording sessions rather than having a producer calling the shots. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, he did. He worked his own session. One time we were recording, and he was standing about 5 feet back from the microphone, and he said, Elvis, could you move in a little bit? That we're getting some of the band and the Jordanaires in your microphone. He moved in about 1.5 inches or 2, and then they took another run and said, Elvis, could you move in a little bit more? So we're still getting some of this. He moved in another 1.5 inches or 2. Finally, when they did it the third time, he said, "Hey fellas, you all handle the knobs. I'll handle the mic." he wanted us feeding into that microphone for some reason.
Yeah, because he probably felt the presence of the vocals there, making it easier for him to project and get the sound and the texture of his with the help of you guys in his ear.
I'm sure that's what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He didn't think that through. He just knew he wanted us close to him, and if we leaked into his microphone, that was okay.
Yeah. I think that Elvis didn't get the critical acclaim that he should have got as far as, being involved with his records and doing things like you were just talking about. What do you feel, Ray?
Well, most people heard it said that he ran his own session, and most of the time he did. But he always considered every person on his recording session as a star. He considered them stars, and so he had. Hold on just a minute. And so he had everybody just do the best they could. And if they had an idea, they put it out there, and if he didn't like it, he'd say so. But very few times did he ever change something, unless they didn't know the feel that he wanted at the time.
Yeah.
And one time we were doing some harmony, and Neil had a sixth in there, which makes it kind of a modern thing, And Elvis walked over and said, "What's that note?" Gordon says, "That's the sixth." He said, "Don't do it."
Well, what I find unusual, Ray, is virtually every record of his up until the summer of '58 starts out with his voice. Was it his idea, your idea, or just random chance that you got to start A Fool Such as I before he came in?
Well, no, that's the way he wanted it.
He did, huh?
None of his recording was by chance. He worked on it and he did his best, but that's the way he wanted me to do it on that intro. And then the first time I didn't do it with him, but after a chorus or two, I would do it with him as a duet. He really liked it.
Oh.
We were standing about 4 feet across from him on our microphone in Studio B, and he motioned for me to come over to his mic. So I went over to his microphone, but what he wanted me on that microphone where they couldn't cut me out. He wasn't going to have that. And when I was doing my part, he would stick his finger in my mouth, in my ear, yank the back of my hair. It tickled me. He was just something else.
And tickle you too. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
So you were serious when you said there's a fool such as I.
Yeah. But anyway, he came over, and then we were going to do, hey, baby, no, baby.
Yeah.
That thing.
Big Uncle Love.
He came over and he said, can you say no? I said, not to you, I understand. So he said, well, no, like a pattern on the bottom. I said, like, no. He said, yeah, that's it. I said, well, when do you want me to start? He pointed at the band and said, when they do. Cool. So when the count-off started, that's where I started.
Yeah, that's a great record, too. Big Hunk of Love.
Absolutely. What about the duet that you did, Who Needs Money? That's you for quite a bit of that song.
Oh, yeah, from Clambake.
I was the only one in the studio with him, and we were in RCAB, and our microphones were back-to-back of each other, and we were facing each other, and I started singing, Who Needs Money? I Do. Mm-hmm. And he stopped, and he said, well, Ray, I don't know what to say. He said, but it's too good. I said, too legit? He said, yeah.
Too legit to quit.
I said, would you like to have it like maybe a Broadway show? Yeah, try that. And I said, who needs money? I do.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's go with it.
You must have did He's Your Uncle, Not Your Dad, too.
Yeah, we did that. He's your uncle, not your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Best friend you ever had.
Yeah, there was a little solo part on that too.
And he got real tickled when I went on one of them. Anytime we did Girls Trio, I did the top part. I was using 5 octaves. When I was a kid, like 5 and 6, 7 years old, I could make a squealing sound a vocal sound like some of these kids do today off the top end of the piano.
Wow.
It was just almost. My daddy said one time, only dogs would hear that. Mama said, you did. So anyway, I was doing a falsetto part, and my voice kind of broke because I was going for a higher note. And he looked over at me and grinned, so he stopped, and I said, I dropped my purse. So he rolled. He thought that was funny. But
I think it's funny.
And you know the song, She's Not You.
Oh, sure. Beautiful song.
But when I would come in on the chorus, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom.
Oh, yeah. And when we're dancing.
Yeah, and then the girls
the same.
And then the girls' duet after that was Miss Millie and me.
Right.
She and I did the duet on it up there.
Oh, my gosh.
We hear you often on Good Luck Charm, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. On the Good Luck Charm,
hey.
He only wanted Gordon and me on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think how did that start off?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I had a lucky penny.
Yeah. Well, anyway, and I think we got the whole group on it, though.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Better than this group here.
You know, She's Not You, actually, he was in such rich voice on that recording. It was absolutely incredible, absolutely majestic.
Well, the thing is, I talked to Elvis a good bit, and because he didn't think of himself as a star, and he didn't present himself as a star, and we knew how big he was, but he didn't impress me as a person who was trying to be a star.
Cool.
It was really good, because if he didn't know something, he'd ask. He would ask.
Yeah.
And you didn't dare interrupt him if he was talking to somebody. We were discussing something one time, and I said, well, you know, Elvis, one good thing about you is you're really down to earth with everybody. I said, you know, every person is 100% of what he has to deal with, and we owe them that respect. So one day, some moguls had come down from RCA and to the Studio B, and the cleanup man was there. Well, Elvis was the three suits were there, the big guys, and he was talking. They walked over to where they were, kind of like in between them. Elvis not only didn't wave them off, he didn't even recognize the fact that they were there. And the man quit talking. He said, "Go ahead, sir." And so they finished their conversation. Elvis shook his hand and said, "Sir, I really appreciate you speaking to me." Then he walked over to the three suits, and he said, "Gentlemen, if you see me talking to somebody, don't interrupt me. In fact, don't even walk over to me. I'll get to you when it's your turn."
Yeah.
And then he quoted me. He said, like Ray said, every person's 100% that he's got to deal with, and we owe them that respect.
Yeah.
So,
very good.
Great story. Now, Rod, why did you talk to Ray about the time you were playing in Vegas with him with the Patsy Cline thing?
Yeah, Ray, that was a big moment for me and my band, as which we actually had a gig at Caesar's Palace. If you'll remember, all you guys came over and watched us at Caesar's. You remember that?
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was in 1997, I think.
Okay.
Well, the first show was done in 97, and then they kept us all the way up to 2000 or so.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the first piano player.
Yeah. Well, Sharon Haynes is the best, without a doubt. The best Patsy Cline singer.
She sure
is. That ever was.
And what a gal she is, too.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I missed on that intro where we just heard on air just a few minutes ago was Gordon used to always go, "Well, he's low down, all right." I used to love that. I was just always waiting for that.
Yeah.
Ray, considering the songs that you were recording with Elvis before he went into the Army, what was your reaction when, after he got out, he was doing It's Now or Never and Surrender and so forth? That's a big change.
Well, yeah, it was a little bit later than that too, because we had worked with him just before he had to go into the Army. We did a session with him, and then after he came back, he started doing some other things. He didn't see himself as maybe doing those songs, but one time I told him, I said, "You know, Elvis, your secret is, first of all, you believe in what you're doing, and you're trying to compliment the writer, and you sing the message. But about your voice, you sing like you speak, and that's why people will always recognize you in your vocal, because you sing like you talk."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a little story. When he was you talked about changing venue. The It's Now or Never was after Return to Sender, wasn't it? Yeah.
No,
Return to Sender was the first time he used the saxophone.
Right.
It was Randolph.
Yep. And they that threw him over into more of a pop crowd, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They really appreciated that, and he got through that well. When he was wanting to sing his song, when he would say, "Be mine tonight," right there, you know.
Right, the high note.
We did it. Yeah, we did it and did it and did it. And finally he said, "Take a break, fellas." And he came over to me and said, "Ray, you teach voice, don't you?" I said, "Well, sometimes. What do you need?" He says, "Well, I want to go up real high on tonight," because he'd gotten a great take, several great takes. And I said, "Oh, okay, come on, because you're going up out of your register." So we went through the control room, and went into the back of the control room where they plugged everything in. We closed the door, and I said, "Can you throw up?" And he said, "What?" I said, "Can you retch like you have to vomit?" And he said, I said, "Cut out laughing, Presley. We don't have much time. We don't have much time." And he said, "Ray, we've got all the time I want." So I said, "Well, this is the fastest way to do it. You picture yourself on a ship or something and having to heave over the side and go." When I did that, his face dropped. He'd never heard me do that, something like that. So I said, "Now bend over straight from the hip. Just put our hands on our knees and do the vowel. And just before you do the vowel, we're going to go, just like you have to throw up, and then say the word." So there we were going, "Hey." I would do it first. He'd say, "Hey." I said, "Good. B." And I saw the A-E-I-O. You're all the way through that stuff. And then when he got to you, he said, "Ooh." I said, No. I put my finger up on his lips. I said, "You got to keep it right up front. Put a Y in front of it this time, or you can do a W-H." So we went them over again. He got it. He says, I said, "That's it." He said, "Let's cut it." So we went back out into the studio. We went back out into the studio and did take after take. And when his voice, he'd say, and his voice would break, and he'd just die laughing. But somebody sent me all the outtakes that they had to splice just 2 nights onto that. Was that Suspicious Mind? Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
That was so.
And they sent me all the outtakes. We had a great time with it.
Yeah.
Great story.
Great story. We're out of time. Ray, what a pleasure to have you on our show today. You're live in Seattle.
Thanks a lot.
We love to get you back on again and tell some of these wonderful stories.
All righty, we'll try not to repeat ourselves, okay?
You don't have to. You got so many good things to talk about. I want to say one thing, though, about Ray. I am absolutely convinced that his voice is on more records than any other person in history. More recorded music has him on it than anyone. And I don't know if you agree or not, Ray, but I think that's the case.
Well, you see, I have records a lot of people don't know about. I have a cappella religious records from all through the 80s in 70 foreign nations.
Wow.
70 nations. And a friend of mine recorded them, and they're all over the world right now.
Another legend on our show here today, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm still being recorded anywhere to 15 songs a week at church and what have you. So recording, fellas.
That's wonderful.
We got to get you back on the show, Ray. Thank you for being on the show, sir.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Great talking to you again, Ray.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Viva ENT. I want to thank my co-host, Rod Masters.
Thank you.
Excellent producer, Mr. Eric C.C. Ryder. We'll dig you now and see you later, because you are a fine sweet potato. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ray Walker. Thank you, Jerry Osborne.